start singing the Star Trek theme song.
You guys are singing and I was recording. Oh my god. Shame on you guys. That's okay. I will do the intro and carry over it later. Welcome to this bonus edition of A Strange New Pod. I am your host and captain tonight, Julian Brown, alongside my co-host, the man who gives I wrote Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is correct, though for some reason I was about to read that wrong. Who gives Tom Hardy a run for his money, Lieutenant Hawk, and the breaker of Klingon spines, the liberator of Orion, the only Prime on Cardassia Prime, summoner of the Bajoran wormhole, and rightful heir to Harry Mudd's fortune, Ensign Erin. Ensign Brittany has the night off, and Rear Admiral Eric is out with a personal issue, and our thoughts are with him and his family tonight. So we are kind of scrambling and came up with this episode for tonight. So we have this like kind of little fancy overlay going. We hope everybody enjoys this show. We are going to be talking Captain Kirk possibly showing up on Strange New Worlds. That would be awesome if Anson Mount came on our pod. That would be epic. And we're also going to be talking. Yeah, he is Pike, right? So we're also going to be talking about those awesome Paramount ads that have been coming out the past few days. And this is the stupid thing, right, about the Super Bowl these days. Like, you don't get to see the Super Bowl commercials during the Super Bowl for the first time. They're all leaked online now, which is just really...
I'm fine with it because I don't watch sports ball.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even going to watch the Super Bowl this year, so I'll just watch all the commercials online. But we're going to be talking about those. And then I'm sure, as everybody knows, William Shatner has gotten himself into a little bit of trouble again. Yeah, I mean, screw that guy. But we're going to be talking about that. So a lot to get through, but before we do, we'd like to give a big thank you, as always, to Sam Dillard and Samo Studios for taking us to the final frontier and beyond, week in and week out. Lexi's on. She says, bonjour. Joe is here. Spotted Giraffe is here. So welcome to everybody in our Twitch and YouTube collective. Keep the comments and questions coming all night long. Real quick, things like this happen. Personal issues happen. And we just want to say a huge just thank you to our awesome patron Discord and listener collective for your guys' understanding to kind of scramble and come up with a new episode so we could still do our Vulcan episode next week. So thanks for still coming to hang out with us tonight. It means a lot. You guys freaking rock. We are not going to do a shameless plug tonight for our patron. We'll just do one of these bad boys and just put that link up right there if you want to see it. But we will do our awesome patron collective shout out. And Erin, why don't you give our thanks tonight?
Oh, okay. I'm very bad at reading names, but I will do my best. Please feel free to correct me if I say anybody's name wrong. Our patrons, Simon Stagger, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Mag, Ann Bradley, Spotted Giraffe, Mitch Thatcher, Rob, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noe Santos. I'm gonna say this wrong.
I got this. I got it. Kang Hui.
Kang Hui.
All right, very good. JD, Takado
Nagumo.
Thank you. Kara Kennedy and Patrick Hazard. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate the patrons. You guys make it happen and let us figure out all of the stuff and make it look good and help us to keep developing all of these cool new drink recipes. So,
what are you drinking tonight? You're drinking a mojito, right?
I'm drinking a mojito. I grew a mint plant in my garden last year, and it's normally you're supposed to put it in a pot, but I was like, it'll be fine. And it does what it does. It overruns the place. So I ripped it out, and now it slowly comes back in patch, and then I just make mojitos whenever that happens.
Very nice, very nice. So we're going to get right into it this week, and we have I think a pretty hard Strange Loop. I'm going to have to come up with my answer, I think, on the fly a little bit. But it is indeed time for the Strange New Loop. That was the wrong sound effect. God damn it. This is what happens when I run the stream. I hit the wrong button. So, whatever. Let's try that again. It's time for the Strange New Loop. And Twitch, YouTube, please, we would love to hear your thoughts on this as well. If you could write an episode of Strange New Worlds, which, God, we'd all want to do, that featured a young James Kirk meeting Christopher Pike, what would your concept be, and why would it work? I know, that's a toughie. And I didn't give you guys a lot of time, but it is what it is.
I'm not a massive Kirk fan. I most of the original series because, you know, it was sort of before my time. And honestly, like I've talked about this before, I'm glad it gave us Star Trek, right? And Star Trek to me is always 2 steps forward, 1 step back in general, right? And there were what was progressive then isn't progressive now. So anyway, that's why I'm not super in love with that character. But I understand why people like that character, you know, and there was a certain vibe there that was really fun. So all of that said, I think my ideal version of it's Kirk meeting Pike, right? That's the question. What would that look like?
Correct. Yep.
I think I would like to see. I don't know. I think the new Kirk from, well, not new anymore, from the movies would be a better version to meet Pike. I think that would be more interesting. And I think Pike, I like everything about his character, and I'd like him to just bitch slap Kirk a little bit because I liked the first movie. I thought that was really fun. But the idea at the end that he just got the Enterprise, he went from cadet to captain, was so unbelievable and ridiculous. Like, what are you teaching everybody in that universe if that's what you do, right? Like, it's just so. If someone does something heroic like that, you give them a medal and then you move on, right? So I'd like Pike to just put him in his place a little bit, and maybe he learns from him and becomes a better captain. And also, like, smack the womanizing stuff out of the story, because they even put that in the movie, and I was like, boo. But I think Captain Pike just, like, teaching him what's up.
Nice. I like it. I like that.
Yeah.
How about you, Hawk?
I had a similar thought in that about their first meeting ever in that, outside of the Kelvin timeline and that, because we all know how much the Kelvin timeline altered everything. But Pike basically giving a young ensign a dressing down over something he did wrong in that. But then I was thinking, like, it's like, how would Kirk react to that kind of dressing down? You know, does he? Yeah. Does he? Show kind of like submissiveness to a superior officer, or is it he just young, cocky, and that, and like he knows what he's doing, and he's gonna
young, scrappy, and hungry.
Young, scrappy, hungry, and he's gonna tell him exactly what what's wrong with the system, and like what he can do to improve it, and that. So, writing a first meeting between these two it would be a very tough endeavor.
Indeed. All right. For me, there's this idea, right, that Pike Kirk says when he first sees Pike in the wheelchair, they're asking, like, if he ever met him in the original series, and Kirk says something along the lines of, I only met him once. It was when he was promoted to fleet captain. Now, people just immediately think that him getting promoted to fleet captain means that he's no longer captain of the Enterprise, where in my mind, that's like, okay, he's fleet captain, he's captain of the Enterprise and in command of a fleet of ships, like a squadron. That doesn't mean he has to leave the Enterprise. That could be something that they get out of the way pretty quickly. So I would love to see him get promoted sometime, maybe season 2, get the promotion, they shake hands, maybe Kirk makes some kind of offhanded comment about the Enterprise. Maybe he comes on the Enterprise to, like, do a tour because it's the flagship. We know at this point in the timeline he's serving aboard the Farragut. So there's all sorts of cool things they could do. I know it's very 50-50 whether people want him or not. So I would like them to do it, but I want them to do it right. And we're going to talk a lot more about that for our main segment later on tonight. A couple of comments here on Twitch. NYRLite says, becoming captain in the first movie was totally unbelievable. Yes, it was. At least they demoted Kirk for all of 5 minutes. 5 minutes in Into Darkness. And then Pike just gets blown up, which, Jesus, what is with this, like, show and killing Pike and doing horrible things to him? Jesus Christ.
They like to kick him.
Yeah. So,
Maybe it was just Bruce Greenwood they didn't like. I don't know.
But he's such a good actor.
He was amazing, man. Like, I would have watched a whole movie of him. They always cast good Pikes, and then they harm him.
Yeah, they totally do. So, and then Lexi Denton says, I'm completely fine with retconning that moment in Menagerie, that moment where he says, I only met him once. Yeah, I mean, it's a line, it's a throwaway line. People meet people all the time and don't necessarily remember, like, the real first time that they met him. Pike could easily be like, oh no, we met that time before on Ryza. You were getting your Jamaharon on.
Yeah, I saw your Horgon. It was huge.
I forgot to bring the little one.
The pocket size.
Oh, pocket size. Yeah. Good answers.
Keychain Horgon.
Yeah.
It's like the Starship Enterprise and a Horgon.
Has anybody ever done that? A keychain Horgon?
I would like them to. I think that would be pretty awesome if they did.
I think that sounds like a job for the shops at Ryza. Yeah,
I was going to say, shops at Ryza, get on that. NYR like this Kirk on Ryza has got to be a short trek.
Be a short trek.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody got anything? No? Twitch, you good? Let's move on to this awesome. We know that in about actually a month today, that CBS All Access is going to be switching over from that name to Paramount Plus. So obviously that's a big deal. So they're getting all the ads out there, and we're obviously going to talk a lot, as I said earlier, about James Kirk later and Strange New Worlds and all that good stuff. But yeah, they've been running these awesome, funny short ads featuring Spock, Pike, Michael, my boys Beavis and Butthead.
What a random group of characters. They had Snooki in there, who I've never seen that show, but it's like everybody knows who Snooki is.
That's who that was? I didn't even realize.
That was Snooki.
Oh. And there was the Grudge, the scary...
Oh, yeah, from...
the girl from the well.
The Ring? Or which
The Ring.
I
think that's the Ring.
That's the Ring, the girl from the well.
Yeah.
And they had a football guy in there and a golf guy in there. And they had, Jeff Probst from Survivor. I'm such a huge Survivor fan, you guys. I was like, yes! So
didn't you just binge the entire thing?
I mean, I've done that before, but yeah, I'm on Cook Islands, which was the 13th season, also known as the racist season, because they separated everybody by their race.
Oh, no.
Did they really do that?
Yeah, but they, like, in the second episode, they mixed them up because I think somebody was like, guys, this is a bad idea. It was good because it resulted in the best casting they've ever done, because it wasn't just, honestly, it's usually just attractive white people and then one or two people who are not white just to mix it up. So it was a nice mix, and most of the people, a good chunk of, like, the sort of all-stars come from that season. So it's something good came of it, and it was a good season, but it was like, they were like, we're doing a social experiment, and everybody was like, yeah, but you just said this is the Asian tribe and they're all from different parts of Asia. They're not like God. And this is the Hispanic tribe, and they had people who were from, like, somebody was from South America, somebody was from it was just like Cuban, and they're like, we're not all the same, and I don't know, it was just interesting. But anyway, I'll stop talking about Survivor.
I was into it, and we could just do a Survivor bonus spot tonight. I've only watched like 2 or 3 seasons of the show. My science teacher in high school, Miss Doss, I'll never forget her name. She was awesome. We would have, I think, watch parties every night it was on in our dorm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she loved it. Well, like she was like the outdoorsy, really nerdy, awesome science teacher that like did all the really cool shit. So that science teacher, then my other science teacher, Mr. O, he would just give us a GPS tracker and like drop us in the middle of the woods and be like, you guys can get back to school on your own. It was awesome.
Jesus.
Loved it.
Your school sounded way better than mine. I
went
think
to boarding
if we should do... Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I want to hear about that later, but if you guys ever want to do like a fun bonus pod, and we can somehow try to relate it to Trek in some way, but I can pick a season that I think is awesome, and we can just like binge it, because it's like 16 episodes, and
I like it. But we're not talking
nobody has
about
to watch
Survivor.
it, but I'll watch it.
Like Erin said. Overall, what have we thought about these ads? I know they're a little janky because it's all done, I think, via like CG and social distancing, but they've been really fun, in my opinion.
No,
yeah.
they were totally fun. You
go,
who wants
Hawk.
to go first? Okay. They were very fun ads. And I just watched the the final one today, and that met Patrick Stewart on the mountaintop and that hosting a dance party.
Listen, if anybody's going to throw a dance party on a mountaintop, it's Jean-Luc Picard. And Lexi hit it right on the head. Headcanon, Q Picard having fun on a mountaintop. Like that wasn't Colbert.
Q should have been there.
No, it was headcanon. Colbert was Q. That was Q.
Oh.
So, yeah. We're getting a lot of people are psyched about the Paramount ads. I've had a blast with them. Like some of them are a little bit cheesy.
Blast.
That's
my button. I don't have a button, but that's my
I don't
button.
have to deal with Brittany's puns. I have to deal with your blast stuff. So I'm going to give you this one.
That's okay. I can't hear him when we're on whatever this is.
Oh, you can't? Interesting.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. You didn't have to get the bad Strange Loop thing.
We'll take your word for it. It was funny.
I did it when you said you did Strangely Loop just to be like part of it. I was like, but I didn't hear it.
The music came over when we went live because that was probably a little bit awkward. But we'll find out later.
Spock earmuffs keeps coming up in the chat.
Oh, people love
that. Was amazing.
So speaking of Spock's earmuffs, do either of you guys have a favorite of these quick little teases that they did?
I mean, Michael Burnham. Like I was so glad because I was like, how are they not? I mean, I love seeing Pike and I love seeing Spock, but I was like, how are they going to do two of those guys and not give us Captain Michael Burnham? Like, come on. So I'm glad to have seen her there. And it was funny when she was like, we have to shed weight. And that one guy's going to take off his shirt. And it was like an interesting mix of characters that would never be in the same world together. And I liked all the little different bits. Like I liked Pike looking at Snooki. Like that's a combination no one ever expected.
Yeah. That was like the little like side glance I gives to her, like, who are you? I think I've only been to Jersey like once. Yeah, just don't go to Jersey. There's nothing good there. I'm from Philly, and we don't talk about New Jersey.
Ooh.
Oh my God. We don't talk about New Jersey. Anyway, Hawk, how about you? Did you have a favorite?
Pretty much when it came down to it, it was great seeing all the Star Trek people there and that, but for me it was seeing Beavis and Butthead and that, knowing that they're returning and that show back when I was growing up, it was so spot on. It was basically like somebody put a camera in my hometown. In the high school I didn't go to that high school, but there was a high school that was pretty much notoriously like, metalheads, braces, Metallica t-shirts and mullets and that. For the return of that show, I'm just hoping they bring back that one guy, this older guy that Beavis and Butthead worshipped. I don't know if you guys ever watched the show and that, but he was always beating them up. Yeah, he was always beating them up behind the convenience store.
So they're making, I didn't know that. They're making new episodes?
Yeah, new episodes.
Whoa. Because I grew up with that too. Like it was, the music videos were always, and it was on late at night and I was too young to watch it. Like, that's also how I ended up watching MST3K. But like, it was just, it felt inappropriate. And it was like, it felt sort of like older and kind of, I don't know, it was very MTV at the time. And it was just like, it was kind of violent, like, and gross. Like they'd be in their McDonald's job and they were frying things and doing gross things. And in the Paramount Plus thing, when they see that the ring girl and then they're just like even they were like, what the fuck is that?
Just real quick, Joe agrees with me. He says nothing good comes from Jersey. Lexi says, "What? That's not 100% true. There's some great farm stands in Jersey, like some really good fruit and veg that comes from there. So I will give that inch of credit.
Jon Stewart lives in New Jersey.
All right, there you go.
It's legal in New Jersey.
Lexi Denton wonders what year is it. Good point. And Talex is saying what we're all thinking, and it's I am Cornholio.
TP for my bunghole.
TP for my bunghole. So I didn't like the first Michael Burnham one, where the stupid dude from Reno 911 took off his shirt. I thought it was a little dumb. I liked Michael. Michael's always awesome, but the redux they did of that one with the crack, it's like we have to keep moving, but there's a crack on the bridge. Dude, they're just back there. They're like, oh, she said crack. Oh man, I just was like, it's so dumb, but yet it's just I love it. I love it. I love
it's
them.
the mashup we didn't know we needed.
But here we are. Here we are. And Pike.
I like. Oh no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say I liked when they were. It actually didn't have any of our Star Trek friends in it, but they were all like screaming and afraid on the mountain, and they're all like hanging off of stuff, like ah! I thought that one was, and in the background of one of them, that grudge lady's climbing up the mountain too, and was that, and then the puppet losing his arm, and the little clap that Spock does.
The golf swing, his arm freezes off.
That's my second favorite one, where we're gonna have to amputate. I have a little like if golf's on, like I'll watch it. So just the.
Oh my God, Julian! I don't know what to say. You watch golf. We're gonna have to reevaluate our entire friendship.
Hold on. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. I don't watch golf. I casually watch golf. There's a big difference.
No, there's not.
No, there is.
Nearly Light.
Gritty is our murder puppet.
Nearly Light writes, I lived near Atlantic City for 3.5 years. Beach communities are a nightmare in the winter, so I fled to Philly as much as I could.
That's right, because Philly rocks and we have amazing restaurants. Yeah. So it looks like ahead of the big game on Sunday, because I don't think we're actually allowed to say the word because people get sued for that shit, apparently. The final commercial has quote unquote. I don't think we're
gonna sue our tiny pod,
dude. You would be surprised.
You would not be surprised. You'd be surprised.
They can have all of our Patreon $40. Good luck to them.
Erin, you'll appreciate this. When Karen and I used to work at Trader Joe's, like when we were making all of our when our art guy was making all of the stuff to like promote the game, we couldn't write the word. And like, who's gonna like? Is anybody really gonna like call out Trader Joe's and call the NFL and be like they're using the word? Someone will.
Yeah, people are like that are litigious, and no, you're not wrong. But I mean, I think for our little pod, it'll be okay if we say it.
You never know. So I'm gonna play it safe.
Speaking of which, did you guys see the Uber Eats ads with Mike Myers and Dana Carvey returning as Wayne and Garth?
No.
Yes, I saw that today, and I was like. People are really stepping. It's probably because of the pandemic, right? They're getting people to do things I think they normally wouldn't do, and people are getting creative. Like normally, I would not give a shit about a company renaming their streaming service. It's happened before with people a million times. Like who cares? But whoever came up with this campaign, it's done really well. It's so weird and so random, and it's just I don't know. It's just super fun, and it has all these characters from different shows that. I don't care about the golf guy, but he's part of it. And I think it's smart, right? It brings everybody together. Everybody likes this ad.
Yeah.
Sure. There's something in it for everybody.
And Patrick Stewart is the king of it. Yeah. So I think Julian, you mentioned it. It's more Star Trek. It's very Star Trek forward. And I'm like, okay, so are we approaching the apex of like 90s Trek where am I going to get Quark's Bar back and an experience back in Vegas? Because I want that. I want Star Trek movies. Let's get that in here. Let's get another Star Trek show in, which we're doing. We got our Janeway show. Like, I think we're approaching that nexus again.
Oh, you just said nexus. I like.
That's right, I did.
Oh yeah.
Hey, just real quick, I'm going to do a little test because I think I just changed the setting. If I hit,
you sounded way better now.
I sound way better now.
Way better.
Yeah.
I think I know what was going on. I'm sorry if my audio was crap for the beginning of the show, guys. It won't be on the actual podcast part. But do you guys hear this now?
Give me warp.
Yeah.
Yep. Yay.
I know what to do for next week.
Wait, how come it doesn't say in the factor of 5, 6, 7, 8?
Because because it's funny if he just says "give me warp." I think no,
you got to do the whole thing.
Okay, I will do it. Joe says we need the Star Trek Las Vegas experience back. We've been saying it for weeks, Joe. We've been saying it for weeks.
Can you also, Julian? I'm going to interrupt you because I need this. Can you get the Deanna one that says we're going to talk about this later? Because I think we need that for the pod.
We do. I will get that one. So back to the pod. The final commercial earlier today, quote unquote, leaked, but this isn't a leak. This is what happens all the time now. They just the company lets the ad out early and say, "Oh, well, it was leaked." No, they put it out so people could see it because that's just the way of it now. So in all likelihood, that was Viacom CBS. This final so I can't so Spotted Dress says I can't listen because I'm on a phone call. I'm trying to understand just from reading the chat. This is wild. I love it.
Okay, so I want you guys to start writing really random, crazy shit in the chat since she can't hear. So she has no idea what's happening. Go wild.
That's awesome. So they leaked this final epic 1.5-minute trailer, which features none other than the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Patrick Stewart, Captain Picard. What did we think of the final ad, which also features Pike giving like the meanest "what the hell is going on here" side eye?
Yeah. Oh man. I got nothing.
You got nothing.
I just like it was so good to have him up there, and he wasn't in his uniform. He's in like a tuxedo, and Colbert is like rocking the bar. And I thought, oh my God, I loved everything. I liked the people they chose, and they had Trevor Noah there in like a hoodie. He was just like the whole time. Every time I saw him, like he was one of the people screaming on the mountain, holding like he was always fun. But and then they had the party, and SpongeBob was like having a rock concert, and I just remember because Julian, you posted a picture of Patrick Stewart, and I was like, is this real? And you were like, yeah, you sent me a link, and I watched it, and that was like 1.5 minutes, and I think I sent you a thing. I was like, that was wild. I'm gonna go watch it again. Like, it was such a journey.
I know.
Oh, go ahead, Hog.
I feel like I got to rewatch it. There's a lot of it I've forgotten about already, and that it was just so surreal. And I love that all the characters in there acknowledged how surreal it was, including like Tom Selleck from he's on Blue Bloods, I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, Bloods, yeah.
Oh, that's who he was supposed to be. Okay.
Yeah. I got to rewatch it. It was great. It was surreal. I think they're gearing it towards like not Super Bowl people and that, not football people and that. I mean, I think Super Bowl ads have become something of their own, away from the sport itself.
That's because they're all on the internet now, right?
Yeah.
Like they're all on the internet, so it's not really geared towards the people who watch football anymore. This is CBS and Paramount saying, look at all, because one of the biggest complaints about CBS All Access was it doesn't have enough stuff, which was absolutely true. We're going to have all this content. We're featuring Pike and Spock because we're going to have Strange New Worlds. We're going to have the Enterprise on Paramount Plus, right? We're going to have Discovery. We're going to have the fucking Paw Patrol in Adventure Bay, okay?
They have all the seasons of Survivor.
Yep. Apparently Snooki.
Which is 40 seasons, by the way. Fucking 40.
Yeah. So I loved everything about it. Patrick Stewart being like, you're all metaphors, and just we're all gonna dance like metaphors. And I think John Oliver was there for like a hot minute.
Was he? What?
I feel like it's about John Oliver. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Lexi, does he have a show?
I don't know. Like we said, Pike's favorite is Missionary. Who knew?
Well, remember, we're trying to say random ass things in the chat. Lexi's winning. Yeah,
right,
say random shit to freak out Giraffe, guys.
That's right. I love it.
It's a chat icon here, the little one in orange. We're learning a new stream here tonight, so okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. I love this video, and I can't wait to see. Apparently, this is the end of like part one of their marketing, and there's going to be
there's going to be more.
There's going to be more like bigger stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm stoked. So, these commercials, it's obvious, right? Like feature Star Trek prominently. Like you got Pike and Spock everywhere. Pike doesn't have any speaking lines. Ethan Peck did. Michael did. Obviously, the whole star of this thing, the narrator, Patrick Stewart. Like the one thing that these are saying is Star Trek lives here. This is going to be Star Trek's home. What do you think that says about the future of the franchise?
Oh, that is firmly planted. That and why not? They, to me, like they've been killing it. Lower Decks this season was fantastic, and that Discovery is just still kicking ass, and I can't wait to see what happens. We started this whole podcast just for a strange New Worlds coming out, and that, Star Trek is alive back on television. Where it belonged in the first place, and that love the movies, but Star Trek was always firmly rooted in television, and this is CBS, planting their flag on the top of a mountain.
But you couldn't have said it better. I agree with all of that.
Hold on. Hawk made a Britney pun. I don't know if he knew he was doing it, but he did.
Did I?
Wesley.
planting the flag in the mountain. They're on Paramount Mountain.
I liked it. It was nice. It was nice. Yeah, I just want to see it grow bigger, and I like that we're, for the most part, entering an age of Star Trek where the newer fans, the younger ones, it's really positive. I think there's been very few, the thing I said earlier, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. There's very few 1 step backs now, and I think I think we're finally reaching that point where it's just going forward, and I think there have been 1 or 2 things. There was 1 thing in Discovery that I did not like, and I'm glad we moved away from that. That was the sort of Klingon, rapey thing. That I was not a fan of that. But I think in general, all of these shows are so good and they're diverse, and Lower Decks, 10 out of 10. Like there was nothing there's no bad in that show. It's just like a perfect watch. Like I want 20 episodes of that. Like I want more. And I want this Janeway show. Like, where can we go wrong with this?
And someone, I think, just said it. Joe said we have 2 animated shows that we will get this year alone. So I mean, it's just so awesome. Lexi even pointed out 5, 6 active shows in production development right now. For if Section 31 ever gets up off the ground, it's awesome to see Trek thriving, because it wasn't for a very long time. Hawk, you hit the nail on the head. Movies are great, but Star Trek belongs on television. Maybe not so much anymore. Star Wars kind of held the movie realm, but now that's kind of doing well on television. So who knows?
Yeah, the borders are coming down on that one.
And I don't want to take this down a notch, but I do have to say, someone brought it up on Twitter earlier today that you have to feel bad a little bit for all the fucking hater accounts out there, like STD Sucks and Nerdrotic and all those fuckers who are like, Discovery has been canceled, Strange New Worlds isn't happening, they're tearing down all the sets. They have to watch these commercials and now figure, how the fuck are we going to spin this? Because the marketing, it says all you need to know. It's kind of hilarious.
Oh, totally.
I have no room in my life for that kind of negativity. Like, I'm a quick blocker. I was out of Star Trek fandom. I've been watching it since I was 7 years old, but I was out for a very long time, probably about 10, 15 years, because of toxic fandom. Because I go to conventions and things like that, and that toxic fandom is almost exclusively older white men, gatekeeping all of this stuff. And I really only came back into the fandom side because I saw Lower Decks was coming out, and I saw an ad for it, and I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. And then I, accidentally started a podcast because of the pandemic with my friend Allie to watch it. And I started talking to her about Star Trek and all the things I loved about it. And then I met you guys and came back into it. And when I got onto Twitter and saw that there was a lot more positivity, it was just like, oh, okay. Like, that world is changing along with this change in landscape with the show. And that's really nice. And I think that the world in general has a lot more to do, especially for like women and people of color in these realms, but it's actually not horrific. So that's a step forward. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Nice. I can't wait to see what else they do with the networking and all the cool advertising they've been doing. I'm excited. Like, even though it's another streaming service I have to pay for, I'm already paying for CBS All Access, and I feel like I'm going to get more content. Like, this may sound really cheesy, but the fact that I'm going to have access to like the whole entire Paw Patrol library is a big deal, because my kids eat that shit up. And, it was kind of hard to justify keeping the CBS All Access subscription, but now there's like a ton of stuff on there that we could put on for the kids. So I love it.
Hey, that's great. Yeah. I had CBS All Access like right when it started because we wanted to watch, I think it was Colbert, and the app was so bad. It was like the sound difference between their ads and their shows was like horrific. The ads would come on and they'd be screaming at you. And I don't think at the time there was a version where you could could pay to not have ads, but the streaming quality was bad. And
it was not a good app at the start at all.
It was so bad. And I didn't have it up until Lower Decks came out, and I got it for that. And yeah, I think you're right. It's like they're adding more content, and the fact that they had Survivor was a big draw to me. And then yeah, they're adding all these shows, and I'm here for it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like the catalog for the old Twilight Zone episodes would probably be available.
Oh,
I think they might already be, but still, like, that's pretty cool. I could be wrong.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. I'd be so excited for that. It's worth it. Yeah, it's worth it. I mean, it's another streaming service, like you said, and that. But honestly, like, where is your recreational money going for the next year or two? Who knows? I think mine's going right into my my home viewing.
Well, if you'd like to make any large purchases, you can come see me at the jewelry store.
There you go. All right,
I'll get a chain.
That was nice. It's great. I'm happy I didn't have the link up there.
You can spend it by joining our Patreon. It's a great service where you can learn how to make awesome drinks on a segment we do called Drunk Space 9. Julian and I get really, really drunk, and we get on our Discord and we live watch an episode and chat it with everybody. And then we do a podcast live with our patrons where you can join in and you can be part of the podcast and be drunk and talk silliness. And then we put out the podcast for our patrons. And when we listen to it, we don't remember anything. Join our Patreon.
Erin, yeah. I don't think I have like a good sound effect for you for that awesome segue, but I do have this. So you know what? That was mighty impressive. Let's move on to someone that I don't really want to talk about, but I feel like we have to talk about, and that is just Shatner making a shit of things once again. And we got to talk about it. William Shatner was in the news a bit this week after a thread where Mark Hamill said that if people want to believe that Luke is gay, right, then of course he could be gay. Like, it doesn't matter. There's nothing wrong with that. If fans want to think that Luke is gay, Luke is gay. Like, nothing has ever said otherwise. There's, except the expanded universe where he marries Mara Jade. But like right now, when everything is now legends in Star Wars, and it doesn't even matter if the expanded universe said he wasn't. If you think that Luke is gay, that's fine. So a fan responded about what Mark Hamill said, and said that they were a Trekkie more, not as much into Star Wars, and that Hamill's response was just a lot better than Shatner's response to
a million times better.
A million times better, right? Basically refusing to accept that Kirk could even possibly be bi. Like, rather than say that Kirk's gay, like just saying that he's bi, and like, listen, the dude loves Spock. Like, we all know it, right? Anyway, so instead Shatner responded with the following. Does anybody want to read this tweet? Because I don't know if I do.
No.
Read the tweet.
Do I have to hold on? Let me get my
I caught you off guard. I like
hold
it.
On. Let's see. Oh, is it this one? If Kirk were?
Yeah.
If Kirk were bisexual, Star Trek would have never happened. It would not have influenced Star Wars, and it would be a blip in the history of the Roddenberry family. How is it you don't understand the social constructs of the 60s? Why did Stonewall happen in 69 if all was okay emoji?
Yeah, he used the this, which is now like a symbol of hate as well. So being a douchebag.
Okay, as an LGBT person, I want to chime in on this. I think, first of all, I think he's garbage. What he thinks he's saying is that the show would have been canceled if they would have done that. That's what he thinks he's saying. But what he should be saying is exactly what we said earlier. Like, characters can be whoever the fuck you want them to be. It's the same reason why I don't care if Superman is black or brown. I don't care if someone plays Annie in a musical and they're not a redhead. Like, who cares? The idea is who the person is and what they represent. And being straight or gay doesn't change who a character represents. So if you think Kirk is heroic, then it shouldn't matter who he's sleeping with. Like, it's such a weird thing for people to even want to know these things. Like, who cares who you're sleeping with or kissing? Like, that's nobody's business. Like, can you imagine, Julian, if somebody came up to you and they were like, oh, hey, you're straight? Oh, what's that like? How do you guys have sex? Like, whoa, so crazy. But you would not believe how many people have straight up asked me that question to my face in like a very social setting. And you're like, whoa, I don't know you. Like, it's just, and I get it, it's a curiosity thing. But I think that Shatner is obviously he's an idiot, right? He played a character that everybody likes, but he's got internalized homophobia, and the idea freaks him out, and he's old and he's unwilling to change his ideas, and it's sad.
Yeah.
My curiosity is, what was it like for George Takei working with him?
Oh, dude. I can't even imagine.
No.
Hasn't he said that? Like
he has.
He said on Kimmel one time, and that he's like, "Of course I knew he was gay," and then he made a joke about it, you know.
But I think George Takei has also come out and said that they are not on. They didn't at least used to be on good terms. I think they maybe mended things up. But I don't even think that Shatner was at Nimoy's funeral. So I mean that also says a lot of like his character. I don't want to say that that's a fact. So don't quote me on that. Lexi on Twitch, I mean, this is, I think, what we're all thinking. The sheer fucking arrogance and condescending dismissiveness is absolutely true. I was always neutral on Kirk being in Strange New Worlds, but if anything, this makes me definitely want Kirk in it, if to have another Kirk actor just to further distance the character from him. And I'm actually going to use that as a segue to our last question on here, and we'll come back up because it's a good segue into it.
Wait, can you read the top comment?
Can I read it? Hold on.
Yeah,
same. Sorry, from J Crab. Same. I hope they hire 20 people to play Kirk, just so that there is more people have played Kirk besides.
Yeah, that's pretty damn funny. Going back to what Lexi said. At one point, does Star Trek, the people at CBS, Viacom, the marketing people, what point do they start distancing? At what point? Thank you. At what point do they start distancing themselves from Shatner? Do they need to? Do you think? Does Captain Kirk need to be one of the faces for a new generation of Trek fans?
No, I think they already have. There's a reason why we had Nimoy in those films and we didn't have Kirk. I mean, I think that part of that legacy was still there because, in the first new film, we still had Kirk, like, hooking up with somebody and like people running around in their underwear. So I think there was still some of that there, but that was 10 years ago. So it's interesting how sometimes things happen really fast or not. But I think they've already done that. Like, he hasn't been involved in any ad campaigns or anything in a long time. Julian, you've been to conventions. Hawk, I don't know are you a convention goer?
Not really, no. So
okay.
I couldn't say, or I don't even know if he's been involved in any video games or any offshoots like that.
He did back in 2009 for the Into Darkness video game. They did like the tie-in video game. He did a commercial for the game, like with a girl.
Then maybe they're not. Maybe I'm wrong then.
That was in like 2012, I want to say.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like, I just think he's kind of he's an old jerk.
Yeah. Joe's got it right. Shatner only cares about Trek when he can make up money off of it. I mean, that's pretty accurate. And it shows, right? Like, one person disagrees with him. He's been blocking Trek fans left and right. I know a lot of Trek fans are returning the favor. So what another fan said that Shatner was bothered by people saying that he wasn't accepting Kirk possibly being bi. He also then tweeted, "Who is bothered? All I said is that Alex Kurtzman wants his Kirk to be bi. I'm fine with that. I wouldn't." And this is where it gets just shitty again. "I wouldn't kowtown down to mob mentality wanting me to embrace something that didn't currently exist. It still doesn't. So why are you upset?" I mean, just like, dude, just you got to learn when to stop, right? Like, or maybe he just doesn't give a shit.
No, it's the defensive attitude. He's got to be right. And, he also, not too long ago, got into a whole thing of where he won't use they, them pronouns or people's preferred pronouns. It's like he kept saying things about how people put that on their Twitter, and he's like, I'm not going to go looking to find your pronouns. Like, why would I do that? And it's like, the whole point of being human is that we should be trying to, and especially Star Trek, is that we're making the world better and we treat each other well and we're trying to better ourselves, right? Picard says that in First Contact. We work to better ourselves. And when people put their pronouns on Twitter or wherever, they're making an effort on their own and using their own energy to make it easier for you to treat them better, and to disparage that is just, it's awful. It's like these people are putting something out there that's difficult in order to make it easier for you to treat them well, and you're shitting on them for that. Like, get out of here. How hard is it? People are like, oh my god, I have to be politically correct now. And it's like, how hard is it to make an effort to treat people with a little bit of respect, It's in just get out of here, Shatner.
When you go against that, it's almost like you said, it's not worth the effort for me to try and learn something new.
No, he doesn't give a shit. He's old.
I know. But going back to Hamill and that, it's he understands that these characters that they played in that, they belong, the character itself belongs to the generations of fans that grew up with them and that. So of course they always see themselves through that character's eyes, and that, he knows Luke is a character he played in that. And I think but the level of understanding and, empathy he has, towards like the people who love this character, and that it's why we always want to see him brought back as Luke,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Talix hit it right on the head. Shatner is fighting against his own irrelevance.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think there was a reason he was cast as the dad in shit my dad says.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And listen, I don't think, and I don't want to turn people off by saying that this is any kind of knock on the character of Captain Kirk, because it's not. Captain Kirk still can be your hero. You can look up to him. Captain Kirk is a great character, and not to give him too many compliments, Shatner did a very good job with the character, but separate the douchebag from a really good character. The dude's irrelevant. Chris Pine has done the character so much justice in the JJ films. If they do end up going the Kirk route, I know with all the other casting choices that Kurtzman's made, that he'll do the character justice once again. And I will use that as my segue into the next segment, because we really don't need to talk about William Shatner much more. So, to Kirk or not to Kirk? Joe already has it. Kirk is a good captain. That's right, he is. Cowboy diplomacy. So we're gonna go into our next segment here. Oh, I almost fucked that up so bad. Last week, Den of Geeks, Lacey Bauer wrote a great article, which you can click on right there, on how Strange New Worlds doesn't need a young James Kirk to succeed. A really good article. Back when we first started this pod, this was one of the first questions that we asked, right? Like, and since the article has come out, the subject has gained a lot of traction again, because Strange New Worlds is starting to film, or about to start filming. There's been some promotional materials like the Paramount Plus ads. So we put the question out there to Subspace and asked a very simple question: to Kirk or not to Quirk?
Quark. Let's watch that show.
I want to know what the hell is going on.
So, to Kirk or not to Kirk? So, how did people respond on Twitter? And I believe, Hawk, you are first on our list here.
So, Rob, one of our patron collective members, wrote, "Hey, Rob, I wouldn't hate it, but I can do without. The franchise has had tons and tons of Kirk already, and I'm more interested in the franchise expanding rather than looking inward. Might be kind of fun, though, if the series finale features Pike turning over command of the ship to Kirk."
Oh, man, I agree. Cautious Jedi wrote, "No Kirk if possible, but yes to Gary Mitchell."
See, this is really interesting, right? Because we only get Gary Mitchell in that second pilot, but it would be really cool to explore that character, because we only see him the once, just like we only saw Pike once or twice. Give the people that we've only seen once or twice the spotlight. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Our friends over at the Captain's Table podcast wrote, "I say no Kirk until the end of the show," and this is going to be a common theme, and have it be Chris Pine in a cameo just for fun.
Yes.
I would dig that. I think I would dig that.
Yeah.
Also, would love to have a different fate for Pike. So I'm gonna tackle this one right away. If we're staying in the idea that we are in the same universe leading up to TOS and Next Generation, Voyager, DS9, yada 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 yada. If we are in that same universe, we simply cannot change Pike's fate. We just can't. And I think that's a good thing. I don't think that we should. It gives depth to the character. It gives him something that we can keep seeing him struggle with throughout the show. I think it's really important that this show, even if they don't end up showing it, is still leading up to that fate.
Well, they did though. Like we saw the flash forward. I think you're totally right, Julian. Like there's something tragic and sad about that, but also fucking heroic to know that and to be able to continue on, because I mean, not to, put real world circumstances in, but we're all sort of like living in this day-to-day existential, nightmare. The entire world is, and we're just soldiering on, right? And we don't have the fate of an entire crew in our hands or whatever. But I think that there's a little bit of feeling in that of like, you have to go on not knowing what's going to happen or when it's going to happen, and that there's bad things out there. I just think it's a good story, and I wouldn't want to see that retconned.
Yeah, I think Erin pretty much explained it perfectly. And that, we go out every single day in that knowing what could happen in that, and yet we still do, and I think that speaks volumes to the kind of character Pike is, and that he knows his fate. He was shown it, and it's like, it doesn't matter. I still have to, we still have to go on. I don't know when this is going to happen, if it's going to happen, and that I can't let it rule my life.
Yeah.
NYRLite wrote, I'd still prefer seeing Kirk not showing up until the last episode of Stranger Worlds as Pike turns over command of the Enterprise to him. Maybe even throw a joke about how there's no holo communications. Yeah, that could be fun. And I think Lexi's just agreeing with us. Now that Pike knows his fate and willingly chose it, it adds so many more layers to his character than there ever was before. And I think we all just said the same thing. Absolutely right. So
yeah. Continuing on.
Yes.
Yeah, Lexi Denton, one of our favorite Discord collective members, wrote, "Not straight away, but I do think there could be potential in later seasons, especially if they use it to build up his initial dynamic with Spock." I agree.
I just wanted to say, one of our members in the chat, also, it's Lexi, okay. She put also, yes, Kirk and Canon Spurk and make it the absolute queerest thing imaginable. You guys, have you ever seen Torchwood? Captain Jack Harkness.
Captain Jack.
Yeah.
He is basically the Kirk of Doctor Who, but how he should be. And this is, I think, what people are trying to say to Shatner, right? Like, he loves everybody and everything, but I think that's the version of Kirk I think I could get into, because one of my biggest struggles with the original series is that there's a lot of sexism and stuff. But Captain Jack treats everybody with respect, but still has fun with them, respects their boundaries, and no means no and all of that. And I think that's the difference. So if they make that kind of Kirk, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Anyway.
Lexi is totally with you, says, "My God, Erin, you're a genius."
The people are with me. Okay.
Don't let it go to your head.
Oh, no, it's already gone to my head. And that's why I'm the queen of everything, the snapper of bat lifts, or whatever you said. John K. wrote, "Change of command scene at the end would be okay. He could be mentioned in passing in the appropriate context, same as with other TOS characters. Heck, they could even use Shatner's voice, boo, receiving a message from the Farragut. But otherwise, I think this should be pretty Kirk-free." I agree. I put in the boo, by the way. That was my own. I don't want to put words into your mouth, John K.
Oh, man, I love it.
All right, who's blue?
I think Julian's blue.
Oh, wait, what?
You're up, Olga K.
I'm up, sorry. Olga K wrote, "When I signed a petition for Pike's show, I did it because I wanted Pike's show. Kirk had his own show, and maybe he will have another in the future. Doubtful. I'd wish Strange New Worlds was about the characters who didn't get their chance 50 years ago, and I wish Pike's fate would change to the better." Again, I disagree about Pike's fate changing for the better. I think it's perfect that he knows his fate, and again, adds so much depth to the character. And yeah, like, listen, I'm on the Kirk train of wanting to see him. I'm about it. I don't need it to be like a season. I don't need him to be somehow serving on the Enterprise for a season. That would not be good. But like 1 or 2 episode arc where we see this young kind of douchey Lieutenant Kirk full of himself, because that's who we know Kirk is. yeah, I would like that. But I also would be 100% fine if he never showed up. It would be cool. It's a big fucking galaxy.
I think that we've gone to that well over and over again. Like he's in the movies, he's been everywhere. He had his own show, he had his own animated show. I'm with everybody who says if you want to have it as the last 2 episodes as a changeover, I'm fine. But like we don't need to go back to the well. We've seen it. We know who Kirk is. Like I want Pike to have his day. Like let's do this. I want to see that crew.
Yeah.
These are strange new worlds we're exploring.
Indeed.
Damn right.
Well done, Hawk. Yeah. Well done.
The Star Trek Pike Twitter account that shared the story wrote, I'm definitely in the only meet during the change of command camp, but the placement of that doesn't have to be linear. We already know part of his end already, so who's to say that the Kirk moment won't be shown early in the show run? Taking that elephant out of the room. You could do that, but I think there's a scary element of like, then you box the show into a storyline. If you already know what happens at the end, I think it can limit you in where you're going with writing and storyline. So I don't know if I share that sentiment, but there is something exciting to be said about like, here's the end and how do we get there?
Yeah, exactly. No, agreed. Joe says there were a couple of characters from the Cage pilot that I found interesting. I hope Naki for one. I don't know if I remember who that is, but he also said I want to know the cast for Strange New Worlds. I do too. I'm hoping that we get some casting news soon because I would love to do a whole pod about the cast and who's going to be on.
We will.
Oh, can't wait. So we're gonna switch Subspace channels over to Instagram, and on our Insta, we actually for once did the poll on our Insta stories instead of Twitter. So 56% of you said yes to Captain Kirk showing up. It was for a long time. It was the no's were leading, and then it moved over. 56% said yes to Kirk, and 44% said no. That's still pretty even. Yeah. So yeah, we had a lot of play on this, by the way, on our Insta post. So apologies if we didn't get to read your answer. There were a ton. We had to kind of pick and choose. So is this me or is this Hawk?
Oh no, that's me. Command red, suckers. Just so you guys know, we have our comments and they're in red, blue, and gold because we're nerds. And that's how we
have a black and white printer, so I don't see the colors right now because I'm lame.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm reading it straight from my phone because I'm lazy. Wally Paulnuts.
I want to know what the hell is going on.
I see it happening, though I think Kirk was on board the Farragut at this point in Trek history.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. This is me. Alejandro wrote, I would not mind, but I think it should be only a cameo or by a voice or maybe in the last episode again. I think a lot of people want to see that handover of command to a Captain Kirk. So maybe by that time the deep fakes will be really good. And I know we're not on the Shatner train, but there would still be something cool about a deep fake of Pike handing it over to a William Shatner, young William Shatner Kirk.
Yeah, they don't even need him on set.
Nope, not one bit.
So Lee Sandros wrote, we've trekked to Kirk already, TOS, Generations, and the Kelvin movies. Let's only see Pike's story. 5 decades of Kirk is just fine. And I'd say if we did nothing but Captain Pike as a Star Trek, let's go off the TOS security blanket. Good.
Yeah, I agree. We've done it.
Yeah.
Marie P. wrote, I would have liked to see Kirk before his command, the 11 years he spent as lieutenant. It could be interesting. I mean, it could be, but there's also something to be said about it could be interesting to see young Anakin. And, that was kind of a mixed bag. So sometimes it's better left unsaid.
That's a good point.
To the imagination.
Indeed. Rachel M. wrote, and the big question is, whom to cast the Kirk crew before he takes over for Captain Pike? Who do you cast as Captain Kirk?
You want to fan cast this real quick?
I wanted to. I kind of had a couple of quick ideas, but we can if you want. I had like one name, and I have to. My quick name before it leaves my brain again was Zac Efron, but I don't know if that would work.
I think it's a little too like 60s Pike for me, or Pike 60s Kirk for me.
That's
like
the whole point, right?
I mean, I guess, but I want them to do something slightly different. That it does feel a little too too pretty and like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
But Kirk was definitely a pretty boy. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. It just feels like maybe you're right because it feels on the nose. So maybe that's where you should go with it. I am bad with actors' names. Like I don't know who anybody is. I only know Star Trek people because we obsess over them. But did you guys watch Supergirl and the new show Superman and Lois? The guy who plays Superman, I think he would be a cool Captain Kirk.
Tyler Hoechlin.
Yeah, I love him.
He's good, and I'm excited for Superman and Lois. It could work. I think he might have too much of a square jaw, which is the whole Superman thing anyway. I can kind of see it. Lexi, before you go, Hawk said, I'm gonna butcher this name. I'm sorry, Doc Ray Montgomery from Stranger Things.
Okay.
I've watched season 1, so I don't know if I necessarily know who that is.
I don't know.
We can look it up. We'll look it up.
But Joe agrees.
Maybe on Twitter later we can put like a picture of all of these people that we're suggesting next to each other. That'll be kind of fun.
Yeah. Speaking of our social medias, just
how about you, Hawk? Who would you fan cast?
Oh my God, I'm trying to think. It's hard to pick somebody who I currently know in that as far as that goes. Not because like it's always better to start out with somebody just like you have no idea who they are in that, Ethan Peck,
not too known, right?
Yeah, not too known. If I was going a little fan service, I've been totally like hyped on The Expanse, recently. I just finished season 5 of it and that, and since season 6 is its final season, the guy who plays James Holden, and that kind of comes to mind. I'd love to see him.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. He makes it. He made a great captain for the Rocinante, and that maybe he's a good captain for the Enterprise too.
Maybe.
Or hot take, female Captain Kirk.
Yeah. Right.
Who would we fan cast as a female Captain Kirk? I think we need to have Miss Cara Thrace, Starbuck, one of our favorite fucking people ever. I think she'd be amazing.
She'd be a great Kirk.
Joe just said, going back real quick to male Captain Kirk, if you're a wrestling fan, you'll know this name immediately. Cody Rhodes. And I'm going to give it to you because I can see it. I think he might be a little too old for the role, but I could see it. It's not a bad choice. As far as a female Captain Kirk, oh God, I've never ever thought of this, so I have to get back to you. I have to put it on.
We'll put it on the Twitter side by side because I think that could be interesting too. Because how awesome, like Starbuck was such an iconic role in Battlestar, beforehand, and then they put a woman in and they were like, oh my God, it's gonna be terrible, and then Katie Sackhoff just fucking kicked it in the face. So I think it could be, if we're talking about going back to the well of Captain Kirk, like do something to make it different. That would make it so different. Not to say that being a woman makes things different, but in a way it does, right? Like Starfleet won't be different because things are equal there, but just that portrayal is going to be different. Charlize Theron, I'm here for it. Here for it.
Nice. Patrick showed up. Nice. Charlize Theron, I like that. I do. That's like
a good one.
It is.
Oh man, that would be ass-kickingly good. Holy shit, I would watch that.
And Taylor just with another one, Brie Larson.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ooh, I think Brie Larson. I would. Oh my God.
Already a captain.
Lexi says, "Say it, Hawk."
When in doubt, make it queer.
Yeah.
If I'm throwing another name in, I'm gonna go back to The Expanse and that.
Of course,
this actor named Frankie Adams and that, who plays Bobby Draper.
Okay.
It was one. Oh my God, her character on The Expanse is amazing.
Nice.
Tough. Yeah, like tough. So like I can imagine seeing her on an away mission.
Oh, I love it. Let's do the side by side, and then maybe we can make like a fun poll out of it. We can do pit two of them against each other at a time and come up with like our ultimate who we would fan cast.
Yeah, we're gonna make it happen. Yeah. I like it.
All right.
Okay. All right, who's next? I think I read the casting one, so
let's see. I'm gold, right?
Yep, I think that's you.
Okay. Derek M. wrote, they only met twice. Let's keep the timeline consistent. And in one original series pilot, Captain Pike was awesome. Let him be the center of the show.
Yeah.
Yep.
That tends to be the leaning argument of people who don't want to see him. This is Pike's time. He didn't get the show the first time. This is I think Kurtzman said it early on. This is the longest pilot to series pickup in television history. So I love that so much. I think it is you, Erin.
It is me. Nathan D wrote, one cameo in the final episode. Pike has just been promoted to fleet captain, is taking a new assignment. Kirk, newly promoted to captain and the youngest officer to hold the rank, has been given the Enterprise as his first command, and he has just come aboard to relieve Pike and meet his crew. The last shot is of Kirk meeting Spock for the first time. I like it.
I like that. It gives me goosebumps, like seeing him maybe like come up the turbo lift, right? And all of a sudden, Spike. This is
Spike from Buffy comes in, and he's like speaking with that accent. He's like, "All right, hit it."
I think this is like the third or fourth time I've called Spock Spike. I did a long time ago when we did our big Spock episode.
I'm gonna fan cast James
Marsden,
Marsden.
Captain Kirk, or Spock.
Oh no, as like Worf or something.
Oh, no. Oh man, and our very last mailbag here from Instagram is Okalafone wrote, they should tackle Kirk. Canonically, right? Kirk is now serving on the Farragut under a certain Captain Garavik, who would meet an untimely death, which Kirk would blame himself for 10 years down the line. Now, this is where that 1 or 2 episode arc could be really cool, because this is a very easy segue for Starfleet to be like, hey, you're our best captain. We need you to go investigate what happened with this captain and the Farragut. Talk to this young kid, Kirk. He's got a really great career. He's blaming himself for the whole situation. This is how you retcon that one sentence of, I met him once when he was promoted to fleet captain. I would love this moment. I think that
maybe like season 3 though, like not too soon.
No, not early on. But this is the way to do it. Use already established events, right? And then show us that story.
Or short trek that. I think that the story is good, but even a short trek might be kind of interesting.
Yeah. Lexi has a good question. Do you think they'll explore why Una or Spock don't become captain over some new guy? It depends, right, on how much they focus, if they even decide to show the transfer of captaincy, because they could very well not do that. I think that if they do show it, it's not something that they would tackle, just because then that involves it becoming a Captain Kirk show, which I don't think that Strange New Worlds ever will become. So I would probably lean towards no, but it's a good point to bring up. It would be interesting if they did.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and Spock was a science officer. I don't think he had aspirations towards becoming captain. Like, he's obviously wearing a different color shirt. It's not like most of our number ones that we see with like Chakotay or Riker or anyone, where they're obviously the number 2. I know they did things slightly differently back in this time, but I don't think Spock has an interest in that. Like, outside of what they showed in the movie with what's his face? I can't remember anyone's name anymore. The 2009 movie. J.J. Abrams, thanks. Where Spock becomes the captain. I don't think he really wants that, you know? I don't think that's what he's interested in.
Well, even when and later on when Spock gets promoted to captain, he's a captain training at Starfleet Academy, right? Right. He only goes on the Enterprise to captain the ship like as a training facility.
Yeah, I mean, my family was in the military, and so there are a lot of people who are really high ranking. We see this with like Beverly Crusher, and even with Troy. You can be of a high rank, and you are in a position of power, and you are a leader, but you might not be interested in that command position. That is, I want to be in charge of a ship, or I want to be in charge of a group. Like, you might want to be in charge of a medical group, but you might not want to be in charge of an entire ship. Like, first of all, you don't see that in like the original show, but that job is like 90% paperwork. We see the fun side of it, but I don't think a lot of people are interested in that job. We like it because it's like, yeah, let's go kick ass, but I don't think
I just want to sit in the chair.
That's what we all want, man.
And I think they've explored this problem. Spock does have problems in the leadership role in that. The TOS series, I think the episode was called Galileo 7.
Yeah.
Their ship crash lands on that planet with those giants, like primitive giants who are attacking him, and that. And Spock's decisions and that just keep getting crew members killed.
Yeah, because he only thinks in logic in that episode. And listen, I don't want to go down the path of saying, well, Vulcans can't be captains because they only follow logic, which is not true. There have been plenty of Vulcan captains, but for him, I think that's also dealing with the fact that he's half human, half Vulcan, struggling with those emotions in the first place. So that's a great episode. We should watch that sometime.
Yeah.
Maybe as Strange New Worlds get closer, we'll do more deep dives into the characters like we did before. Anybody have anything else? No?
I think we're good.
You know what I kind of want to see? I know it's a little bit off, but I want to see more of like Uhura. Like, I want to see more female characters in this. Like, number one, like, let's get more going on there. But
no doubt that's going to happen, right?
Yeah. Well, how does Uhura join this cast? And when does she join the Enterprise? And I want to see more female characters and like their backstories and like, you know, I don't know. I want to know more about her.
Well, I hope that we get to see that engineer that Pike put in engineering from the short trek. I want to know more about her story.
That was cool, man. That was a great story.
Yeah,
I gotta rewatch some of these short.
Let's do a whole short treks episode.
Yeah,
we should.
Erin's got all the episode ideas, and I love it. We need episodes for March. So
if anybody needs a good producer or someone to come up with ideas, I don't know who does that. Call me. I'm the ideas lady. I can't get it done. I don't know how these things work, but I got ideas.
Oh man. Guys, that's gonna do it for this episode, this bonus episode of the pod. I want to just say thanks again for joining us tonight, because we threw this one together real quick. I think we had a lot of fun. I thought we'd have a lot of fun with this one. I think we did. So we'll be back next week with the regularly scheduled 20th episode of the show. We're going to do our first ever best of series tackling the Vulcans. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Julian, do you real quick want to just talk about the episodes we're going to talk about? That way, if people wanted to watch them, they could. Would that be okay?
Yes, I have to. You kind of caught me off guard, so I got to pull up Discord and find Eric's list real quick.
Oh, that's cool. Well, we looked at different episodes that we thought would be good to make this podcast sort of cohesive, and we came up with, I think it's like 4 or 5 different episodes, and we tried to hit most of the treks. So if you guys want to watch them as well, because that's what I've been trying to do, get through them so we could talk about them. And you guys know I love me some Tuvok, so that was my favorite one to look at. We picked Meld for Tuvok.
Yeah. So I did find the list. So for Enterprise, we picked Eric picked. This is all Eric's. I kind of.
It's been a long road.
This is your baby.
From there to here.
The Serenity. I'm gonna butcher this. The Serenities arc.
The Sirenites arc.
Sirenites arc of season 4. That's episode 7 through 9. The Forge Awakening. 7 through 9, and Kir Shara. And I also added Home to that, which is a very important to pull episode in my opinion. We also put TOS's Amok Time, which we've watched before, but it is very important to Spock's arc. And next week, right after we record, we were going to watch it tonight, but we're going to save it for next week. For Best of Trek, we're going to watch the episode. It's either Leth or Leith. Is it pronounced Leith? I don't know. Lathe. It's the Sarek episode. It's
Lathe.
Lathe. I think it is Lathe. And then TNG, we also just watched these, but always worth another rewatch. Unifications 1 and 2, and you could even throw Unification 3 in there. And then finally for Voyager, Meld, like Erin said.
Meld.
Great episode.
You want to kind of be up to speed with what we talk about next week, hit those up. But Spotted Draft Lathe, she's there. She knows how to pronounce it. So we are going to hand it over to the night shift, the Delta shift, over on Discord. You can go hang out with us right now directly following this episode. We're doing our Best of Trek Thursdays. We're going to watch the TOS episode I Mud, which is a total classic.
I've never seen it.
Oh, so this is going to be fun. We're going to go have fun over there. We will see you guys next week. So for Hawk, for Erin, I say to you, live long and prosper. Majram. Good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts. YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.
Veggie.
Bye, guys. It's been a fun podcast.
That was so much fun.